Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hello, I'm joined tonight by Mave Hathaway, who is the author of The Breaking, Dodsfell Book 1. And over to Mave, basically, to tell us all about her wonderful book.
Hello, John.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, this is The Breaking. It is the first book of the Dodsfell Chapter, which is a sub-series in a larger series called The Balian Empire. It is a wonderful, fantastical world called Balia, and I have created a magnificent monster, basically. Um, we take on gods, we take on magic, we take on the concept of political power and who should be or shouldn't be in charge.
Yeah.
We take on heroes and villains. We take it all on,
Yeah.
really. There's a touch of romance thrown in some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, we have a female protagonist, that's Aurelia.
Yes.
Or do you say Aurelia? Aurelia?
I pronounce it Aurelia. Aurelia Berrid leads the charge in the Dodsfell chapter. She would be pretty much the main throughout the whole series, with the only caveat. The second book follows, it's a standalone and it follows a different character because it's a separate kingdom that kind of joins up in book 3.
Okay.
But Aurelia starts the story off as a 16-year-old princess who's been raised to take on her kingdom. She's going to rule it one day. Her family is preparing her for the throne. They're going to hand it over when she reaches the right age, which for them probably they're thinking, in their 20s. She's only 16 at the time when we start it. She thinks she has everything figured out. She just has to coast. Things start really changing as her mom starts to change some of the pre-made plans. Her sister, Serial, was destined for the Palian throne, which is their neighbor, betrothed and ready to be shipped off. And suddenly that's not happening anymore. And suddenly, oh no, Aurelia, you're going to take her spot. And we're going to go train you in the Crowlands so that you're prepared to take her spot. And she's like, wait. What?
All right.
No, this isn't happening. And so she fights back. She, sassy teenager.
Yeah. I know about those.
There you go. There's a lot of sassy teenage angst going on. She's also still coming into her power. You don't really reach full power till you hit 18 in Balia. So she's still trying to figure out what her power is supposed to be. So there's, every time she gets really emotional, there's bursts of power that don't make a lot of sense and she can't control. And so she gets in trouble. And she just wants to do what she was told she was going to do, and she doesn't want anyone to change her plans.
Right.
And then everything changes.
So, there is a sort of prologue, if you like, done by Tixdarr, Lord of the Dead, right? Which mentions, and this is not a spoiler because it's kind of like at the very beginning, but basically he talks about, or they talk about, playing with Aurelia and messing about with her and trying to break her. Yeah. So is this where all of her plans are changing? Is that a symptom of what Lord of the Dead?
Yes. Tixdarr, he really so he gets bored. The gods in general are stuck. So we learn of that through the book, but they're stuck in a place called the Void. And he can't go to his realm, which is the realm of the dead right now. He doesn't know why, but he's bored and he wants to do something. So he figures out he has the ability to influence, and so he starts influencing people. And things subtly start shifting and changing, and he gets to play with Aurelia, and he gets to play with her more later in the book when she gets transported somewhere that he's very familiar with. So
Right. Okay. So, tell us about magic.
hmm. So
Yeah, just what sorts of magic have you got? Because it's fantasy,
yes,
isn't it? You've got to have
it
that.
is. It's very fantasy. So
Yeah.
for this book, I imagine that there's two big pools of magic in Balia. There is a great power of the land, and there's a great power of the sky. The land power is basically where you would get water, fire, earth, that sort of stuff. You can tap into it, the ability to
Yeah.
do healing magic, that sort of thing. Powers of the sky, you've got your weather, you've got your air manipulation, anything to do with flying, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
In the book, because they believe in the gods so much, the gods have set it up as they have control over these magics. So they can dictate how much access you have to each of these pools, whichever pool they deem you worthy of, and they give you your allotment of power, and that's what you have for the rest of your life to use as you will, as you see.
All right. So you get a finite amount of magical power for the entirety of your life. Does it get topped up in any way or not?
Well, yeah, if you utilize all of it, if you have a really big moment, and you've used all of it, you can rest and it would refill kind of
All
thing.
right.
But you can't gain and gain and gain and gain and gain because they've given you this stopper, right? So that's how the gods have set this up. Top and bottom, you either have air-based powers with flying or weather, or you have more of the solid earth magic, water magic, fire magic.
Yeah.
And then you can tweak it from there. Aurelia is a unique case because she's more emotive and more angsty and unable to control herself. Things from all areas of categories start happening. She has a great affinity with air, but her mom does weather magic, so it's kind of to be expected, right?
Right.
And so they're like, "Oh, well, yeah." And then she also suddenly can set things on fire sometimes when she gets really mad. And they're like, "Well, where did that come from? Why can you do that?" So they don't understand why. But
Okay.
we learn
So
as we go.
that's the types of magic we've got, right?
Mhm.
And we've got a sort of understanding of the limitations in a certain way. It depends on how much you believe in the gods. And I guess if the gods don't like you very much, you're going to get a teeny weeny amount of magic. And if they think you're all right, they're going to give you a bit more. So, and it also, you can overexpend it and run out, and you need time to recover. What else does overuse do?
So, if you're really in a bind and you're forced to continue to use magic past your limits, you can tap into what your life force. So, you can start feeding your life force into it, and thus slowly, or in some cases quickly, perish.
Right, okay.
Feed yourself into the spell, and there you go, you're done.
Right.
We do see an instance of that in the first book, but it is a slow rolling situation. So
Yeah.
it
It's
takes
there,
slowly.
but it's subtle. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So, now then, I don't know how you're gonna answer this one, but we did talk about it briefly, so I'm looking forward to hearing the answer to this one. So on the world building side of things and the rules of your world, so you've
Mhm.
said that belief in the gods affects how much power people think they can use, which we've
Mhm.
kind of covered. Can you give me an example of a believer stopping short of something because they fear the use of the magic?
I mean, yeah, actually. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do this without spoiling it, though.
Yeah. What I could do is I could do a quick spoiler alert, and then people can fast forward a couple of seconds.
Okay, yeah, let's do
Yeah, let's do that.
Alert, alert, we have a spoiler. Alert, skip forward a few seconds.
Go.
That's fancy. Okay, so Hesper is Aurelia's mom, and she ends up dying in the book. There's a big showdown where she perishes. She perishes due to a sword attack. There's a whole thing, but she could have used her magic to attack those people who were attacking her. But she was inside. She's a weather magic person. She was inside. She could have utilized her magic, pushed past her limits, and gotten the people who were attacking her. But she was afraid of the limit. She was afraid of hurting other people. And there was a lot of fear based around that. So she chose to basically fall on the sword. And
Okay,
what happened.
that's fine. Don't go any deeper. That sounds great,
Big as I can
actually.
go.
That is so, I mean, it's not, I mean, obviously you've got the hard limit, which is the expending of your life force, but it's interesting that you put a conscious, decision, an ethical decision in there as well, about harming other people and so on and so forth. So that's a psychological limiter, isn't it? Really, in a way.
There's quite a bit of psychological at play with this book.
Yeah,
This one in particular, yeah.
Starting to understand that, so that's good. So probably just another question, right? So you say that everybody believes in the gods, and what sort of happens? What is the first inkling of someone not believing in the gods, and why did they do that? And I guess this goes back to the protagonist, doesn't it?
Right. So this goes straight to Aurelia, and it's laid in from the beginning. She doesn't believe in them. She hasn't seen any instance where they have, and it kind of ties into her being an angsty teen and everything being about her, in that she hasn't seen anything that makes her think, oh, they've done this for me. They've answered this prayer. They've done this specific request. Therefore, they're real. Okay, I'll believe. So she's just like, I don't think they're really there. I mean, they could prove me wrong, but I don't think they're really there. And
Right.
she's and as we go further into the book and she endures more and more stuff and the tally just stacks, she's like, no, they're not real. This wouldn't have happened and this wouldn't have happened. And they would have stepped in at some point. Like this cannot continue. So
Okay.
yeah, she's the one main one in this book that's like, they're not here.
Right. So basically, she's like probably in the very small minority of not believing. Is that what we're saying? Essentially. Yeah. So interesting. And the rest of the people do believe.
Yeah, they kind of treat it as like, we've always grown up with this. It's an inherent part of our culture and our society, and therefore it's not like a necessarily conscious thought so much all the time. Occasionally when things
But
are
it's
really
just
bad.
there and normal to think of it that way.
Yeah, and when things are bad, we go to Tiva's temple and we sacrifice to her. Or if someone dies, we go to Tixdarr's temple and we offer their mortal remains to him to see their soul safely through the void. That's his job. And that's like their belief.
Yeah. So who enforces this belief?
Well, up until the book, the
Right.
gods do, right? The
Right.
gods are the ever omnipresent, if you don't believe in us, we're going to come down and we're going to rain hellfire on you and you're going to answer to us. There is a mechanic in the book called they look like tattoos, and they're oaths. They're oath markings. And they're basically like sworn promises. And when you swear a promise on blood, like exchange blood promise, a small image will appear on each person. And if you were to break that promise, the god is supposed to fry you alive. You're doing this on the terms that the gods are going to intercede if you mess up. And Aurelia, if you track it, she gives oath promises a lot because
Right.
she's like, I don't think this is gonna do anything. But it makes the other person like afraid, and she knows that they're speaking the truth, because they do believe in it at this point.
Okay.
And so,
So, what sort of society does it look like? You mentioned a lot about gods and goddesses and so on, and temples and stuff. So, would you say it's a theological society?
yeah, I based it a lot on medieval, um, England, really, with the church, and then you have a king. That concept of a church and a king kind of working together most of the time. Um,
Okay.
Sometimes, uh, but that was the base, the jump off point for when I created it.
Right.
So
So,
there's no like tech in this world. There's
no.
no. It's very horse and buggy.
What I was trying to get at was layers of government and stuff like that. So, essentially, when I was asking about enforcement, who enforces?
The king is the main world enforcement,
Mhm.
kingdom enforcer. And then there are like small governing bodies. I call them clans within the kingdom. So like the kingdom of Dracor has 7 clans, and then they're all based off birds, because they are bird shifters. And the 7 clan members make up the council, and together they make sure it all runs smoothly. And then the guards base out of the palace, but go to each clan as they need. And then they have their own like little units of guards. And then ideally, though, the church, the overarching of gods are watching, gods are, paying attention to you, you have to do the right thing, is an overarching thought process with most of the citizenry,
Right.
especially like peasants and stuff. They don't tend to step out of line because they don't want Tiva to come get them or Tixdarr to not accept them when they pass and all of that stuff.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. So it's a societal thing where I would imagine everyone from the government levels to teachers to schools to all that are just completely bought into it. So it
Mhm.
appears in
And,
thing.
like, the Temple of Tiva is, they are the preparers of the next throne. So Aurelia Berrid, who is Aurelia's sister, who's now being counseled for the throne of Dracor, she's attending classes at the Temple of Tiva where an acolyte is teaching her how you would deal with this and how you would deal with that.
Mm,
And we see it, like, in passing when Aurelia interrupts a class or something. So we kind of see some of that in motion.
in motion. Right. Brilliant. Yeah. Wow. What a long answer that was.
Yeah, sorry.
That's absolutely fine.
I
So,
spent 5 years building this world and like experimenting with it.
yeah.
I built a D&D campaign around it
Oh,
and
did you? Excellent.
hosted a game inside of it to see if it would work before I
That's
wrote my books.
interesting. Wow. So your magic systems then, you hinted at the beginning of certain types of magic. And then you've also spoken about different types of clan, did you say? And
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know, reel off about 5. Tell us what they look
So the
like.
clans, the Dodsfell series, the trilogy, is about shifters. So in Dracor, which is where we start with the breaking, it is all air shifters. The king and queen, the king is part dragon shifter. That's his family line is dragons. The queen comes from the Crow clan, and that becomes a very important clan throughout the book. And then we have eagles, sparrows, falcons, um, a few more. The flightless are birds that can't fly, but they're still important because they are spies in and among the other kingdom, which is Palion, who are all land-based shifters. And the concept between the two kingdoms is they are to guard the air and the land from the realm of the dead, in case the realm of the dead rises up. So
Okay. And that would be Tixdarr.
yes,
Right.
true.
Thank you. Oh, brilliant. So the amount of world building that you've done is obviously quite intense, right? And you mentioned the D&D campaign, which I just thought was it just blew my little mind when you mentioned that. So how did that go? Can you give us a sort of little run through of?
Yeah. So at the time, it was COVID and we were all stuck in our house. And I was building this world anyway. And I was like, I don't know if this works. I've never written anything like this before. And I feel like I'm a very 360 thinker. And I was like, I think I'm missing something. I can't figure out what I'm missing, but something's missing. And my dad was an avid gamer. D&D and the like, tabletop, and his brother is an avid gamer, and they have friends who are avid gamers. And so I was like, hey, what if I made a world in my world and I ran a game? Would you guys be willing to make characters based off of this criteria to run around in the world? And they were like, absolutely. So I kind of gave them a criteria of like creatures that would be found in the world and let them go crazy with it. And it's some of it's actually plots for future books that are coming.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see characters that they created in future books with their permission, obviously. But yeah, we played with it when I ran into issues with like the religion wasn't tight enough for the cleric to really do anything with. I was like, okay, let me go back to the drawing board. When the kingdoms weren't holding up to like tests of words are hard. When the characters were testing like the king and the prince and all that, and trying to challenge them, and things weren't holding up and weren't making sense, I had to go back to the drawing board. It was great. I loved it. It was awesome. Highly recommend.
It sounds like a really great way to do some testing of your world, and also, well, just have some fun and bring it to life, because that always pops in sort of new ideas and gives that creative bubble, doesn't it?
They created so many things. Like they had to forge a river. And so they got stuck on one side, and I was like, well, you got to get to the other side. What are you going to do? The bridge is out. And they came up with some fantastical things that are going to be revealed later. But they were armed with a dwarf, and I think somebody chucked the dwarf across. Like,
of course, you've got to.
It was fantastic. It was amazing.
You've always got to toss the dwarves. It's de rigueur. Brilliant. Okay, well, that sounds absolutely fantastic, Maeve. I've really enjoyed having you on. Have you got any final last words?
Well, if any of this sounds fun, I have 3 books, one of which the last one just came out last week, United We Fall. So it is a completed trilogy. And the fun part is book 1 leads directly to book 3, and book 2 leads directly to book 3. So you don't have to read all 3. You can just read 2 of them. It depends on where you want to start. So, Death of the Wolf follows Palion, the kingdom of Palion, instead of the kingdom of Drakor. Same time period. Oh, wrong one. Same time period, but just a different main character. And he goes through a lot of trauma, and then they're together in this book, and you get to see what happens from there.
From that point onwards. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you, Maeve, and
thank you.
See you again, probably.
Yes, I would love to.
Hello, this is the annoying bit at the end where the podcast hosts say, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from, Well, of course you can do that, but you can also visit the website at richardsonsrubicon.com. You can subscribe from there just as easily. You can visit our forums and take part there. You can also read all of the episode show notes and some archive stuff as well. And if you're in the mood and you're a writer and you've made some terrible, terrible errors in the past, you can also use our anonymous confessional and let it all rip. I think that's about it. So see you next time. Don't forget richardsonsrubicon.com.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.